In this edition of Daily Trail Markers, Michael Bloomberg ended his presidential campaign on Wednesday. The former New York City mayor won just one Super Tuesday contest in American Samoa. In a statement released on Twitter, Bloomberg said that he entered the race to defeat President Trump, adding, quote, "Today I'm leaving for the same reason." Bloomberg then endorsed former Vice President Joe Biden for the nomination. Take a look.
I've known Joe for a very long time. I know his decency, his honesty, his commitment to the issues that are so important to our country, including gun safety, health care, climate change, and good jobs. And I've had a chance to work with Joe on those issues over the years, especially when he was vice president. He fought for working people his whole life. And I'm glad to say I endorse Joe Biden, and I hope you will join me in working to make him the next president of the United States of America.
For more on this and other news from the trail, let's bring in CBS News campaign reporters Bo Erickson and Tim Perry. Bo is in Los Angeles following former Vice President Joe Biden, and Tim is right here with me on set. So let me start with you, Tim. As we've talked about, the Democratic field is, in fact, winnowing, and you've seen that winnowing firsthand. How many different campaigns have you been on now?
Michael Bloomberg was my seventh candidate that I've seen finish their campaigns, and every candidate.
Who else? Tell us really quickly. Can you remember all of them?
Let me try. I had Beto O'Rourke, Steve Bullock, Kamala Harris, Jay Inslee, Julian Castro, Deval Patrick, and now Michael Bloomberg. And if I've forgotten anyone, I am very sorry to that candidate.
You're the rainmaker, but in a rain on your parade kind of way.
Exactly.
But Michael Bloomberg dropped out of the race after spending more than $500 million on his campaign, and he obviously only won American Samoa. So what do you think about his decision to end his bid and what it will ultimately mean for the vice president?
Right. So what we do know is that he made that decision this morning. He thought about it over the night after seeing the poor results and decided this morning to call it a quits. And he even called former Vice President Joe Biden. The campaign aide tells me that they had an excellent conversation. But Michael Bloomberg is a numbers guy, and he says that pretty often. And he looked at those results last night and saw that there just was not a path for him. He could not win enough delegates to win the nomination. And he also is someone who's made it very clear that his main goal is to beat Donald Trump. And he knows that the longer he stays in that race, the more it might hurt someone like Joe Biden, who he thinks might be the best chance to bring in a coalition of Democrats to win the primary, but also be strong enough to take on Donald Trump in a general election.
So I want to follow up with you on that, because I'm wondering if Bloomberg chose to endorse Biden at this point rather than Sanders, not because his primary goal is to beat Donald Trump as much as it is that he has much more aligned with the former vice president in terms of both his financial interests and his policy interests than he does with Senator Sanders.
Well, that's definitely true. And he's made no, he's made no secret about how he feels about Senator Bernie Sanders' policies. He thinks that they're a little bit crazy, and that's what he has said before. And so I think that it's also important to remember when Michael Bloomberg jumped into the race. At that time, Joe Biden's path was very uncertain. This was back in November. He thought that the candidates that were surging at the time, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, would not fare well against Donald Trump in a general election, and that they would lose states like Florida and like Michigan, states that he knows are very important for Democrats to take back if they want to win in November.
And Bo, let's bring you into the conversation here. Biden's campaign has already changed a lot in just the last 72 hours. So you're there on the ground. How's the campaign responding to this latest endorsement from Bloomberg?
Well, since following Joe Biden since last April, I can confidently say that the past 4 days or so, it seems like Vice President Biden really found his mojo on the campaign trail now. The speeches are more concise, the events are more electric, and he's bringing in those endorsements, specifically that Michael Bloomberg endorsement. But it seems like this endorsement is just a little bit different welcome than some other endorsements that Joe Biden has received in the past couple of days. Joe Biden today, after the endorsement, he made some remarks, 7 minutes on teleprompter here in Los Angeles, and he didn't even mention this endorsement. And I felt that was a little odd, a little different, because
Yeah.
Joe Biden has been very great. He's been very grateful about the Better Work endorsement with the Senator Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg endorsements. He even credited them with winning some of their states from these endorsements here. And so I went to go look a little bit, and turns out the only thing that has really happened from that campaign today is one tweet saying thank you to Michael Bloomberg for endorsing us. And then also today on a press call, one of the communications directors was asked about this endorsement and how it will factor into the campaign. And she said that the campaign is thrilled, but she said there are no details to offer. Now, the rub may be twofold. First, the way that he could contribute to the campaign is just like any other American, is donating $2,800, and the other option is left of donating to a big super PAC, and that's kind of a touchy subject for the Biden campaign already because they already have a super PAC supporting them. And the other reason why this may be a different reception is because there was a lot of consternation, I'm told, about Michael Bloomberg's candidacy within the Biden campaign for the past couple weeks here. We all saw Joe Biden go after Michael Bloomberg for being a Republican, but inside the campaign, there was a lot of anger almost about some of the ads that Michael Bloomberg was running, using Barack Obama's words to kind of inflate Michael Bloomberg over Joe Biden as well. And then there was also a lot of the record bashing from Mike Bloomberg in the past about the Obama-Biden record. And so right now, I'm waiting for a response from the campaign about if the leaving out Michael Bloomberg's thank you in the remarks was deliberate or not.
Oh, I'm going to wait to hear that. And Bo, Tim, who's been with the Bloomberg campaign, is sort of moving in his seat here. He wants to get into this conversation as well.
Thank you. And so I reached out to the campaign just moments ago to see if they had any response to Joe Biden, not including his name in the same way that he's mentioned other people who have endorsed him. And they say no comment. However, they're very happy to support Joe Biden going forward.
All right. But one more question for you. Senator Bernie Sanders on Wednesday went after Biden's record on the Iraq war and cutting public benefits. How's the Biden campaign preparing its defense against Sanders in the upcoming contests?
Yeah, this multi-front war with other candidates is now just two fronts now, Bernie and Biden here. And they've already thrown a lot of punches together ever since Iowa, when everyone started really letting it rip. Senator Bernie Sanders went over Joe Biden's record on Social Security. Today, in those remarks, what was mentioned, Joe Biden was actively talking about how he supports Social Security and the changes that he would make to it by boosting benefits and helping widowed survivors to that. Joe Biden was talking about how he worked on the auto recovery in Michigan. Michigan is a state that Bernie Sanders' campaign is really targeting because they won there. And Michigan is one of those states that every Democrat wants to say that they won to prove that they can beat Donald Trump in the general in November.
Absolutely. Bo Erickson, thank you. Tim Perry, good to have you back from the campaign trail.
Thank you so much.